Good to have you here. It is 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, he has been Troop. A lot to get to on the show as we are heading into the All-Star weekend, or the All-Star break. The All-Star stuff doesn't start till next week, but we are heading into the All-Star break in Major League Baseball. The Braves trying to stay within striking distance of those New York Mets. So we'll get to that. Also, SEC Media Days, I like to call it. I know a lot of people do the unofficial start to the college football season. Once you get together and you have Greg Sankey giving his State of the Union, once you have Nick Saban answering questions or telling us what he's aggrieved about, and you get the full car wash of coaches and players coming through, it feels like college football is here. So that's happening next week, and a lot of storylines to get to with that. We're also been 2 weeks away from training camp opening for the Atlanta Falcons. That could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your perspective on that Atlanta Falcons team. And you have the Open Championship going on at St. Andrews. Tiger Woods misses the cut, gets the big reception at 18, kind of gets choked up, talks about it. Rory, the way the holes are been, number 1 and number 18. So you're going out and coming in at the same time. And apparently Rory was teeing off as Tiger Woods was coming up 18. And as they passed each other, Rory kind of gave him the old hat tip. It said, I see you, Tiger. And Tiger getting choked up, walking up 18. No, he's not going to play. He pretty much said, I'm not playing St. Andrews again. I'll be unable to. He said I'll be too old to play it when it comes back around on the rotation for the Open Championship. But Tiger saying goodbye at the Open at St. Andrews today, and a lot of people speculating what that means. He said, I'm not retiring. I just don't think I'll be coming back here to play competitive golf. So a lot to dig into there, Ben.
Yeah, Kevin. I mean, we don't have to worry about there is no such thing as a slow anything now. Slow Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. When it comes to sports, you talk about SEC Media Days. You talk about training camps getting ready to open up. But Tiger Woods is a big story. No matter when he decides to go out there and play, Kevin. But if this is it for him, which anybody that say, oh man, Tiger Woods had a career in golf. If you're Rory, you're thinking to yourself, man, why I got to be 10? Like why I got to be 10 out right now looking at the GOAT, one of the greatest to ever do it, if not the greatest to ever do it. But Kevin, he's bowing out gracefully. Like, if the game is supposed to retire you, if you play that long, it's supposed to retire you. I don't care who you are and what you are. Kevin, we lived to see what Cal Ripken did in baseball, all those starts consecutive. Like, we saw Tiger Woods dominate. Like, when you start saying the word dominate, Tiger Woods dominated. Like, he made everybody stand up and watch. He is a household name for what he did on the golf course. But if this is, because Kevin, you told me how to go when it comes back around, that's him coming with him making a decision for himself, even though his body is kind of helping him. It's not like he hasn't done anything. I mean, Tiger Woods has done it all, but if he is saying this probably gonna be my last time at St. Andrews, thank God that he's Tiger Woods, because if he was anybody halfway regular, them cameras, he'll still be out there signing autographs right now if he isn't. But Tiger Woods, if it is your last time, sir, you have done it all.
And again, he said, look, this is where golf started. It's a special place. He's won 2 Open Championships there at St. Andrews, which has kind of been dubbed the birthplace of golf. So it was a special place for him. I'm not saying, I feel like everything he said is leaning towards Tiger Woods. I mean, he's already not playing very much, and nobody would fault him after the accident if he wasn't able to come back. But I feel like, again, Ben, we look for, in sports, we always like to tell people when the story's over instead of letting people write their story. Oh, Stetson, you got a mic dropping. You won the national championship. Wow, I still want to play. So he's coming back. Tiger Woods, one of those where people say, oh, man, he's starting to miss cuts at majors, and obviously he's not what he was. He should – no. Tiger Woods, you don't tell Tiger Woods you need to quit playing. I mean, Tiger Woods playing at a major, the birthplace of golf, one of the, a beautiful, beautiful course, a lot of history, a lot of tradition. And as he said in his post round, when everybody started cheering, you're at St. Andrews, the birthplace of golf. He said, you just feel everybody, even though I'm not making, he goes, it was one of the most special moments. He said, I could feel my career tip right there. He's like, it was all, my career was right there. And when you start saying stuff like that, Ben, like Tom Brady has never said anything like that. Tom Brady has never said, man, we went on that last drive. I just felt like it was my career right in front of me. I'm 40-something years old. No, Tom Brady's like, I may play next year, or I may not. That's not a guy who's contemplating quitting. I think Tiger Woods, when you just read what he says as a human being, you say, soaking it in. When people start saying stuff like, I'm soaking it in, and I could feel everybody cheering and the warmth I felt, it was my career right there in front of me. You say that kind of stuff when you're like, I'm at peace with whatever's about to happen. Right? And I'm not trying to kick Tiger Woods to the curb, because I feel like people that say, oh, well, I don't want to see him missing cuts and being a shell of himself. That's not for us to say. Tiger Woods can play as long as he wants.
Yes.
Do we remember the dominance? Yes.
Yes.
But you also look at him for what he is. Look, he's a guy that I think if you're writing a going out script, even if he's not winning, he's playing majors. He's going to historical venues. It was important for him to play the Masters. It was important for him to play at St. Andrews. That's why he skipped the last major. I think you're looking at a guy saying, look, if this is the last big go-round, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I can play Augusta. And then he said, look, I did everything in my physical power I could do to make it to play at St. Andrews. I gave up another major so I could come here and play. Again, that sounds like a guy to me that's coming to terms with, I've done all I can do at golf. I'm going to go out the way I want to do it, which is playing the tournaments that are important to me, whatever that is. Maybe he has another one or two he would like to play. But that's just how I read it. A guy who is coming kind of full circle, very appreciative of what golf has done for him. And let's be real. Tiger Woods and the game of golf are not finished.
No.
I mean, Tiger Woods can do whatever he wants. If Tiger Woods walked out tomorrow and said, guys, I went out at St. Andrews, I played the historic course. I can't imagine it ending any different than that other than winning. And I feel like maybe my competitive days are waning. I'm done. Thank you for coming. I'm not going to take any questions. He wouldn't make it back to wherever he left his phone, and his phone would be ringing saying, do you want to do TV? Do you want to do golf promotion?
That's Kevin. You know that's all. You know that's already happened. Now you already know his. But the thing about Tiger Woods is he deserved. This is the moment he really deserved. He really deserved to say, "Hey, man." For those of you petty people out there that saying, "Oh man, his game is really like." You wasn't saying because it took you this long to say something about my game. I mean, at the end of the day, it was gonna come to an end at one point. It just goes by fast because we was there for every single moment. And what he did a couple of years ago, at Augusta, I mean, he could have mic dropped it in. It's just a competitive nature in it. But Kevin, certain guys earn the right to say, look, man, I'm never ever gonna be who I once was. Could I be as good once as I've ever was? Yeah, I could do it one time. And I think that's what Tiger was saying. Hey man, Tiger Woods didn't win St. Andrews. Who cares? Even if he would have won it, no one, oh, Tiger Woods won. No, I think what it is Kevin, there are those guys that make you watch. Like, I'm not an avid golfer fan, I'm a Tiger fan. So I'll watch what he does. Certain guys make you do that. So I do think that, with Tiger Woods, it's almost if Tiger Woods say he want to play, who gonna stop him? Tiger Woods wants to play. All right, cool. But when you start saying when Tiger Woods said, all right, like this is when he tips his hat the last time, most people when they retire, they'll sign a 1-day contract with a team they was with the longest, and it'll make social media. When Tiger Woods retire, it's going to dominate all television. Sports or not, and that's what he's done. He's transcended. So, Tiger, man, do what you want to do, man. You a freaking billion, man.
Yeah, he's true.
Like, what are we? Come on.
And I look at the way we kind of see athletes when they get to the latter stages of their career. Ben, you made a great point. Just moments before we came on the show, you're like, does anybody really care that Michael Jordan played for the Wizards? Like at the end of his career, you could say, all right, Michael Jordan is on the Washington Wizards. I think he was wearing 45 at what or something at one point. We were 23 for a little bit. He's on the Wizards. Clearly, he was not Air Jordan at that point. But nobody begrudged Michael Jordan of that. Nobody was like, man, Jordan, you're really tainting your legacy playing for the Wizards.
Yeah.
No, I'm 6-0 in the finals, and I'm out there. I think he was what, 39, 40 years old playing with the Wizards. Like, it's legends like that can do what they want. It's us who are selfishly saying, I remember when you could do this. And Kobe, God rest his soul, his last game, he was out there trying to rekindle some of the magic, but
60 points.
But he couldn't. I mean, but again, Kobe couldn't elevate, couldn't do some of those things.
No.
But
Kevin, but this thing, it just goes. But think about this, Kevin. At the end of the day, that's like somebody saying, I seen Nolan Ryan, man. He ain't got it no more. You think what? Like it went at his best. Could you turn away? And the answer is no. What do icons make you do? You don't turn away. Nolan Ryan can't turn away, right? Michael Jordan couldn't turn away. Tiger couldn't turn away because I don't want to go get somebody. And I didn't see it. No, there are certain people there are certain athletes that made you go, wow. Carl Lewis. Most people that I'm not a track guy, but I know who Carl Lewis is. Certain people are that incredible at what they do. Tiger Woods, sir, you could do no wrong, man. I mean, and I am not gloating on this. I'm not defending him. The mere fact that the biggest controversy you ever had nothing to do with golf. Nothing. And I'm not condoning what it was, but people dislike you because of what you did away from golf. Because on that golf course, you ain't gonna say it to me. You ain't gonna say it to Tiger. You ain't gonna say it to him. You gonna say it about him. Mr. Woods, if Tom Brady got whatever he got whenever he leave the booth, they can't afford Tiger. If they gave that to Tom Brady, I mean, what? They gave him a blank check. Right in what you want.
Yeah, look, and again, I'll be interested to see what the Tiger story is. I just looked at his comments talking about where he's at in the game, and it doesn't sound like a guy that is sitting there saying, I have a burning desire to try to go out here and regain what I want. So I'm appreciating the moment. Am I competing as best I can? I mean, look, he didn't make the cut. That's fine. I don't think anybody cares. I mean, well, people care because they would have loved to see whatever happened on the weekend. But Tiger Woods was out there playing golf. It captivated the Open Championship for 2 days. He was must watch television, and you see the reception as he comes up 18. And he, again, from a guy, Ben, who throughout his career, unless the final putt went in, you never saw him smile. You saw him get mad. Oh, come on. You saw him do some of that. But you never saw a lot of emotion. Walking up 18, you could tell it got to him a little bit. And I think
if it took this long, Kevin, listen, this guy was superhuman, right? Michael Jordan, superhuman. There are certain guys, Magic, Bird, superhuman. The fact that this guy shows, hey man, I'm human. What do you mean? Like, I can enjoy this now, but when I'm trying to be, I don't know. When I was on the freaking Johnny Carson show, whatever, I'm on the late show when I'm a baby with a Fisher Price. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on, man. I grew up on television, and it wasn't a sitcom. Think about it. So, Tiger, look, if you finally crying, take it all in, sir. You have enjoyed it, but golf will not be the same without you. The game will go on, but. Wasn't nobody wearing no red polos and black slacks before Tiger came through. So don't act like it. Get out of here, man.
We've got more to come here on this Friday. Braves and Nats trying to finish up strong here, heading into the All-Star break. We'll get to that. SEC Media Days coming up next week. Sure to be a big time there in Atlanta. We'll touch on that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back. Here it is, 3 and Out on this Friday afternoon. Kevin Thomas, he is Ben Troop. Thanks for making us a part of your day. SEC Media Days next week. Kind of the unofficial start to the college football season. Ben, in Atlanta, they go this time, and all 14 teams going to ascend there. We'll hear from Greg Sankey, who obviously we talked a lot. He'll say some things. He won't say everything, and he'll play it close to the vest. What do you expect to hear from Greg Sankey kind of on his agenda? Do you think he doubles down on the report that was out there? Again, all we've heard was, confirmed sources and things. Do you think he'll double down on the, hey, we're cool at 16. We're not looking to go past that?
Yeah, I think he has to. Because Kevin, just like I know. I mean, he wants to keep all the attention on, the attendees there. You start saying we're going to go more than 16, then it's going to be. He knows he's going to be center stage. He knows that, saying they're going to stay at 16 right now is saying the right things. I know he's going to get questions, Kevin, about, how much truth is it to where you went to the college football playoff committee and saying, hey, we want to be able to add to the pot. And they was like, no, we good at 4 right now. That's kind of how then you kind of pull the trigger. After that, you make the announcement about Oklahoma, Texas after that. But Greg Sankey, man, he's a pro. He's a seasoned pro. He knows how to say a lot without – listen, If you want to get a crash course masterclass in filibustering, just listen to these answers at SEC meeting, starting with the commissioner. They can say a whole Kevin. When I first got on radio, I did not know what filibustering was. BJ gave me this eloquent long, and you go, Ben, did you hear that? Yeah, that was a filibuster. What? A whole bunch of nothing. He just told you nothing, right? He described what it is to be a cashew. Like no one knows what he's talking about. But Kevin, I want to know. Is he willing to say something about NIL? Like, because that's what I don't get. They're not going to make the rules on NIL, right? You can say something like, where do you see NIL going, the transfer portal and things of that nature? Because with having so many, because it used to be, transfer portal was based on where you was going outside of your conference. If I got 16 teams, the likelihood of me staying in conference is very high. I got a lot of options now. If I got recruited by, Alabama, didn't work out, okay, LSU, okay, Florida, okay, Joe. How are they going to address that? But Kevin, with a guy like Greg Sankey is, you say, hey, man, what goes into a decision like Texas and Oklahoma, which we understand the financial gains of it, right? We understand those type of things, but how do you keep those type of things under wraps? With so much leaking, how do you keep everything? Nothing comes out before you say it's going to come out. But other than that, I mean, Kevin, the most powerful man in college sports, he's going to be on display, come Monday in the ATL. His name is Greg Sankey. He's super duper savvy, super duper easygoing, but he knows behind the scenes, I run this. Yeah. Like I run this, and at the same time, Kevin, right after that, you're going to hear Saban, Fisher, and Kelly, Napier, and on and on and on. So, but center stage, Greg Sankey, you are up, sir. Let the filibustering begin, but I do think he should be with. I don't know what hard question he's going to answer, but he's going to have to stand firm on that 16 teams.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what if he gives the we're not going beyond that, or if he gives kind of the more intriguing answer of, well, we'll never say anything's off the table, but for now, 16 is good. If obviously it would have to be the most special circumstances, like we're not looking to do it, but always leave that.
Or Kevin, could a better question be, what is a school? Because how when it comes to recruiting, they'll say, oh, Alabama's looking for this type of player, Georgia looking for that type of player. If you are Greg Sankey, we get Texas and Oklahoma. What are you looking for when a team to add to? Like, what do you look for in a team to add them? We know what it is, but I want to hear that thing. Oh, I ain't think about that because obviously, hey, I picked Texas and Oklahoma. Well, Captain Obvious should be somewhere around there. Yeah, Captain Obvious is going to be somewhere walking around SEC Media Days. He's going to show his face, but hey, man, Greg Sankey, he's a guy that's, like I said, he's very, very open. He'll answer a lot of questions. He seems to be very down to earth because he goes, dude, I can't lose. I mean, y'all just talking about football, and I get it. We win it all in baseball. Look at track. Look at soccer. Listen, I run this thing right now. That's before the other two even get here. But you already know. I'm going to wear all white when Oklahoma and Texas come, I'm wearing all white, busting up in here. I'm cleaning the board. But yeah, the SEC media days. Sorry, other media days, man. But once again,
Yeah.
there are other media days, and then Big 10, we're open for Big 12, we're open for business. The ACC, I don't even know why they try to do theirs during the same week. That don't even make no sense. Why do y'all do that? Oh my God. And then there is SEC. So once you leave the SEC, people are like, hey man, we're going to the ACC. No, man, I'll look at the Twitter sphere.
The ACC does a lot of things that don't make a whole lot of sense, really. I mean, at the end of the day, but I think you said it right, Ben. He's the most powerful guy in college athletics. If you don't believe so, I don't know what to tell you. When he says something, and I would say the same thing for Mike Slive when he was, rest his soul, when he was the commissioner of the SEC, he was one of the most powerful. But I think, given that the NCAA has kind of thrown their hands up at any of the big decisions that have come down as of late, NIL, transfer portals, kind of like, hey, we'll give you one. I mean, we'll give you one free one. I think when he speaks, people listen and people move their positions into that sort of thing. I think also it's interesting, then you come in there, and normally it is, we have the best league. We know we have the best league. We have Alabama. We have a bunch of at least in years past, you could say, okay, LSU won it, but Clemson was good. Ohio State was good. You're coming in where Alabama was in the championship game last year, and they lost to one of your teams. So one of your teams was there that was really good, and another one of your teams beat them. I know that happened before when Alabama and Georgia played before, but now you look around and go, Clemson was kind of so-so last year. They were 10 wins. A lot of people think in a not as tough ACC last year, where a lot of teams were really struggling. You have a bunch of new coaches in the ACC this year as a result of that. Ohio State was good, but they got ousted by Michigan, who was, I think, a good team, but we saw what Georgia did to them. I mean, you had number one and number two in the country with a bullet, and most of people think that they're going to be two of the top three, top four at worst teams in college football, and you have a program in Texas A&M trying to throw their hat in the ring. I mean, you are in a total position of strength here, Ben, coming into these meetings where normally say, hey, we feel like we have a contender. You might feel like you have two. How many teams do you think could contend for a playoff spot out of the SEC? I know I said Texas A&M earlier if things go well, because I feel like they have enough talent that maybe they could beat everybody but Alabama, and that would keep them out of the SEC championship game. But is there a third contender that could vie for a playoff spot there in the SEC?
I mean, a slim maybe with Texas A&M, and that's based off of, Kevin, the fact that what they did in recruiting and the fact they beat Alabama last year. The problem is they also lost to Mississippi State. See, that's the thing about Texas A&M. They'll get up for a team like Alabama, but they'll lose to a team, in Starkville, Stark Vegas, to you Mississippi State fans. I don't see it being more than two, because, Kevin, there's something about preparing your team year in and year out, off season in, off season out, spring practice in, spring out, to get ready to be a contender. Because now, to say they're a contender, that means, hey man, can they compete with Ohio State? I don't see Texas A&M being there. Georgia and Alabama, absolutely. And maybe like I don't know, depending on what Oklahoma does, depending on what I've seen some outside chances of maybe obviously Clemson going if they have a resurgent year. But the thing about Texas A&M is, we know a lot about Texas A&M because of the momentum that they have. The problem is they're not that team week in and week out. They're good enough to beat anybody that step on the field with, and they're good enough to lay an egg. So because of that, I'm gonna say too, Georgia and Alabama has positioned themselves, gotten real comfortable at that number one. Because that's another thing, Kevin. How do you deal with being number one, number two in the country? Georgia was number one all season, like all season long. That is hard to maintain. I think a team like Texas A&M got the infrastructure, got the coaches, got the players, the wins. I don't see them going, to now. Can they compete in the SEC? Yeah. Can they compete in the West? Yes. College football playoff nationally? I still see in them. I got to see it. I'm going to give this recruiting class a year or two to kind of, get their foot under them. Maybe 2023 we may be talking something different. But last time I checked, Georgia is the defending national champion, and Alabama got the two best players in the country at defensive end. You ain't dealing with that, man. It's
Yeah.
going when Texas A&M play Alabama this year. May God bless them. It is going to get ugly. You notice Jimbo made declarations last year. Kevin, remember when? Oh, if you're gonna beat Alabama this year, have you heard that at all this year? And you're not gonna hear it. Ain't nobody saying nothing about that. 2021 is not 2022. Sorry, Texas A&M. Great off season material on the field though. Shoot. Y'all beat Alabama last year. Can you not lose to Mississippi State 2 years in a row? That's what they up against.
That's and again, you talk about Alabama, Ben, and we'll hear a lot about this next week. But we heard a lot of folks from SEC Media Days last year tell us if you're going to beat Alabama, 2021 is the year to do it. We had multiple people say that. If you're going to beat Alabama, 2021 is the year to do it. And that was a team that had Ray Mechie, that had guys moving on to the National Football League. And you look at who they're bringing back. As you said, Ben, it is not an unreasonable take to say they have the best offensive player and the best defensive player in college football. And this is on a team that went to the championship game last year, won the SEC last year, and finished second to a team in their own conference in the national championship game, and they'll be better. They could be better than what they were last year. So that's a scary proposition. Do you think it's shaping up to be that way where it's the same old, same old? Oh, Nick Saban didn't win it last year. He's going to be in real good shape to win it this year, and his team is going to be really, really good.
Yes, and that's usually what happens with Alabama, right? They'll lose a year, win a year, lose a year. Well, think about Will Anderson. Think about Bryce Young. While they're dominating as far as even though I think Will Anderson should have been in New York last year, I think that for me, Kevin, we talking about Bryce Young, we talking about Will Anderson. They got Jahmyr Gibbs, they got Ricks, they got Henry Tortola, they got Jermaine Burton. I mean, Jermaine Burton comes over from Georgia. Henry Tortola, obviously, second year coming over Tennessee. Jahmyr Gibbs coming over from freaking Georgia Tech. Ricks coming over from LSU. They also might have the best safety in the country. What are we saying? Like, come on, people. Like, Alabama won the SEC, and we act like, and they lost to Georgia. They lost to Texas A&M. I get that part too. But Kevin, once again, you know what people wasn't experience is better than talent. Because now I know what the expectation is. Somebody said that Will Anderson could skip the whole year and still be a top 5 pick. I wouldn't blame him. That kid is a beast. So Kevin, this is what it is. We all know about Bryce. We all know about Will Anderson. I'm guaranteed. What Alabama does, they introduce us to the next star. Every year it's going to be, you like this guy? Look at the guy on the other side. Or look at this guy. Look at that guy. That's what Jahmyr Gibbs is in Tuscaloosa. Oh, my God. Man, they got, listen. They got a wealth of riches going on in Tuscaloosa right now. 5-star talent, 5-star culture. And if you beat them last year, good luck in 2022. This is the thing, Kevin. This year, they want to win the SEC and they want to win the Natty. All right.
It's the Nick Saban tour, right? What little payback he actually gets to serve up is the payback tour. We got more to come here on this Friday. It's 3 and Out. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We're streaming live ESPNCoastal.com, as well as live video streaming Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. ESPN Coastal there on YouTube. You can give us a follow and catch the show every single day. If you missed the show, you can go back and watch it there on YouTube as well. We'd love to hear from you. 912-342-7184. Can anybody contend with Alabama and Georgia there in the SEC? We'll get to that and more. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out, on this Friday. SEC Media Days next week. Obviously, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, going to be some of the headliners as the coach. Although the SEC, Ben, is filled with big names. I mean, even the ones that aren't going to necessarily contend for the conference championship this year. I mean, you're talking about Brian Kelly, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart. That's Jimbo Fisher, Lane Kiffin. I mean, you are loaded with good coaches and famous coaches at that. Guys whose reputations precede them, so to speak. So obviously, I think you and I would agree Kirby and Nick Saban at the top. They both have natties. Well, Nick's obviously got a few more than everybody else, but Kirby and Nick Saban both have national championships. I know Jimbo Fisher does, but with Florida State. Where do you see that kind of that coaching tier? Because to me, like tier 2 is full of a bunch of guys right now in the SEC. The Brian Kellys. I know Jimbo's got a title, but not at A&M. I would put him in there with Brian Kelly, Jimbo. How do you see tier 2? And is it really packed full of guys there in the SEC?
It is, Pat, Kevin, and it's because of where they coach, not what they've actually done yet. Billy Napier is always going to be a headliner because he's at Florida. You're always going to be a headliner no matter where you are. Brian Kelly is a headliner for 2 reasons. 1, because he's at LSU, and 2, because you left Notre Dame to do it. That's going to make you a headliner. I think Coach Heupel at Tennessee and what he's done, headliner, right? I think that, Lane Kiffin is always going to be a headliner because of his reputation and what he's doing at Ole Miss. And Mike Leach is a headliner because of Mike Leach. Not necessarily because of Mississippi State, but because he's Mike Leach. Sam Pittman doesn't get the headlines like he should, but he's a really, 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 really good coach. It's just that Arkansas is always going to be that team that, you say, hey, man, are they overachieving? And, is it going to be a flash in the pan? I don't think either is true. But, Kevin, that tier 2, to me, it is Jimbo, Billy Napier, Brian Kelly, Heupel, and for my money, Lane Kiffin. Because the thing is, Lane Kiffin got the name and the offense. Jimbo Fisher's at Texas A&M with the national championship, and LSU, and another guy too. I'm sorry, Coach Harsin at freaking Auburn. Yes, definitely. For a lot of reasons. 1, because Auburn is a big time program. Let's call it what it is. And these headlines, Kevin, like sometimes the negative headlines actually make you more intriguing as a coach. But that tier 2 is really serious because I think Nick Saban and Kirby Smart has just elevate themselves to another level, with Nick Saban obviously being still at a high level than Kirby, even though Kirby, finally got welcomed to the national championship club, which is very, 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 short list. But yes, that tier 2, Kevin, Brian Kelly, LSU, Billy Napier, Florida. Because this is the thing. I look at it like this. Take away national championships. Just say everything is even, which it never will be. If you say Brian Kelly, LSU, Billy Napier, University of Florida, Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, Josh Heupel, Tennessee. Yep. Just saying it out loud, yes, these guys are some of the biggest coaches in the country or in the same conference, and these guys are getting it done. Tennessee, no one saw them doing that last year. Billy Napier, because you at Florida. You're going to talk about a guy. Listen, Coach Mark Stoops doing an incredible job. Coach Eli Drake was doing an incredible job. Sam Pittman doing an incredible job. But everybody, even Will Steele, Coach Beamer's going to do a South Carolina. Everybody ain't going to be top tier. These are top tier conference. Don't mean you at a top tier program. I think tier 2 though, Kevin, in the SEC is loaded.
Yeah, and you got some really good guys that I think are going to be placing up tough spots because again they're all chasing the GOAT there in Nick Saban. But again, Brian Kelly. That to me, Ben, you mentioned earlier when you talk about coaches, he's the guy that comes in immediately, is in I think that second tier of coaches. Why? Because he's very good, winning as coach at Notre Dame, got in the playoffs, did everything at Notre Dame but win a national championship. And now you come to LSU, which has had good runs and had some swings there as well, where they obviously dipped, a little bit last year. And how does he contend? Not just now, but in the changing landscape of the SEC because, again, you and I both think we're not making it to 2025 before Texas and Oklahoma get in there. So you got this year, 2022, 2023, and that might be it. 2024, they might be in there. And you got to beat Jimbo Fisher's been committed, basically $100 million. Nick Saban, the all-time GOAT, not go. I mean, we talk about Tiger. Well, I mean, who knows when Nick Saban's going to be ready to do something else? Everybody in the SEC is like, Nick, please. The golf course is looking nice. Do something else. But how does Brian Kelly contend there? Because you talk about, as you said, coming to the big time that the SEC touts itself as, where at least in the current setup, I say that because we know it's going to change. In the current setup, you must beat Nick Saban. You must beat Jimbo Fisher just to finish first on your own side. And that's not discounting. You better be on your toes trying to beat Brian Harsin at Auburn, trying to beat Lane Kiffin, who's obviously an offensive guru there at Ole Miss. And as we've seen, Mike Leach can be pretty crafty there in Starkville, and we just totally glossed over Sam Pittman, who's got Arkansas playing well. So you got to come in and contend with that, where over the last few years at Notre Dame, obviously you've played some ACC schools, and I again, people say, oh, well, I don't know how the rotation was determined, but I know they've played Boston College quite a bit, who's been okay, but there's been some Syracuse in there and some teams like that, North Carolina at times, who have been, an okay football team. But you're also playing the Purdue's. You play the annual games against Navy, Air Force, and some of those. So are you playing a schedule that's as tough as you think it was while you were at Notre Dame as to what you're about to walk into here in year one, where, again, without looking, they got Florida, which, okay, talent-wise, probably could win that game. You got Alabama, though, tough. Jimbo Fisher. Ole Miss. I mean, you are going to run a gauntlet here this year where I think we're going to find out what Brian Kelly can do in year one. Can he, because he's got some talent, he needs more. Can he kind of pull the coaching rabbit out of the hat and win more ball games there at LSU? Christian is totally.
He better. Kevin, what I would say to Brian Kelly is, welcome to the SEC. I mean, nobody felt bad for Coach O. Nobody felt bad for Kirby. Those guys had to run the gauntlet to be able to win the SEC, sure, to win the national championship. Brian Kelly has this on his side. You are not recruiting the same player at Notre Dame that you are recruiting at LSU. He feels as though he can go out there and get these players. When you are going to get the best players in the state of Louisiana, bar none. You are at the biggest brand in the state, the flagship university in Louisiana. You should be able to go out there and compete. Because, Kevin, you're going to have to justify leaving Notre Dame. And I know you're getting more money. But the one thing, just like I said with Billy Napier yesterday, Billy Napier going to have to find a way to get to Atlanta because Jim McElwain and Dan Mullen made it to Atlanta. Didn't do much when they got there. Well, Dan Mullen had a good showing, but Jim McElwain not so much. When you talk about a guy like Brian Kelly, you're going to have to do at LSU what you could not do at Notre Dame. You're going to have to win, and I'm talking about winning natty. Because Coach O did it, Les Miles did it, obviously Nick Saban did it. But, Kevin, you recruiting a different type of player. But this is the thing. Once again, if you're not going to win the West this year, how do you look in competing in the West? You want to be close to 2, 3. You don't want to be, 4 and 5 because then it's like, what do they got to look forward to? So I do think, Kevin, no one's going to feel bad for Brian Kelly, who left the biggest brand in college football. Sure. That's Notre Dame. I don't care how you feel about it, Texas fans. Right, they are the biggest brand in college football. I mean, in college, but you left there to go to LSU. All right, getting more money, I get it. But just like Jimbo,
something to prove doing it though.
Oh yeah, but just like Jimbo, Kevin, we're not giving you this money because you Brian Kelly. We're giving you this money because we expect you to go out there and get it done. Because unfortunately, the one thing that every single fan base, I don't care who you are, have, they are naive. They see what no one else sees. They believe what no one else believes. Well, perception and reality are going to have to meet when it comes to Brian Kelly because he's going to have to go out there and prove to her because Kevin, while there are no mulligan seasons, you can't have a dud either. You can't go out there year one and go, hey, man, we 6-6. you're gonna have to be able to compete, in College Station. You're gonna have to be able to compete, up there, in Ole Miss, Mississippi State. And then when you do play Florida, you're gonna have to have a good showing, if not win that game. Because Kevin, year 2 is what everybody looking to in year 1. They're gonna have to have something to go off of.
We'll come back. We've got more to come. SEC Media Days next week. Going to be an awful lot of fun. Falcons training camp opening in 2 weeks. We'll get to that coming up in about 30 minutes here on the show. It is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Love to hear from you on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop. We're glad you're with us. We'll get to Take 3 coming up next hour. Also, the Falcons. Their training camp opens 2 weeks from today. And that's either good news or bad news, depending on your perspective, as the way things sit there in Flowery Branch. But we'll talk about that, Ben, when we get there in hour number 2. But the Open Championship, Cameron Smith leads it 13 under. Rory McIlroy is at -10. Dustin Johnson at -9 in the clubhouse. So it's going to be an interesting leaderboard there heading into the weekend. But the story, obviously, for today, Ben, Tiger Woods missing the cut +9. And the walk-up 18, if you haven't seen a video of it or had a chance to watch it, just a moment in golf history where Tiger had been pretty outspoken saying, look, I want to play at a high level. This is a special place. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to play at a high level, but I wanted to play at St. Andrews. Actually skipped the U.S. Open so he would be healthy enough to play at the Open Championship this week. Didn't make the cut, but again, got the walk-up 18. The standing ovation from the crowd, kind of got choked up about it. And one of the rare times you will see Tiger Woods show emotion on the golf course that was the walk-up 18 as he finished out his round at the Open Championship today.
Tiger Woods, one of those ones. I mean, one of those special ones. I mean, where he's not, now, Kevin, everything you do now is where will you win? Tiger Woods did this and did that. But look, if this is his last time at St. Andrews, he's done it all at St. Andrews, won there twice. Standing ovation is the least the fans can do. Appreciation is what you show. We appreciate you, Tiger. This is your last time at St. Andrews, sir. Take a bow. You have done it all.
Yeah, and again, going out on his terms, at least it would appear. And again, I'm not going to say how much more he's going to play, but again, made it a point to play at the birthplace of golf, special place in the history of golf, place where he won 2 major championships and doing it there. We'll get to that in Take 3 and more when we come back on 3 and Out. Great to be back. Hour 2 on this Friday. Braves and Nationals coming up in just a little bit. Game 2 of 4. It will be Ian Anderson, his final start before the All-Star break, going for the Atlanta Braves. Braves trying to cut it down to a 2-game lead by the New York Mets if they can win it tonight. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. But good to have you along here on the show. Ben, it is 4 o'clock. We got to take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right, take 1, Ben. They have announced all the participants in the Home Run Derby. Ronald Acuna is one of them. And he will match up against Pete Alonso. I think he's the defending champion at that. So a tough first-round matchup for Acuna. How many homers do you think he hits in the first round on Monday night?
Kevin, I mean, the thing about it, you always letting me know when it comes to that Home Run Derby, it's all about rhythm. It's all about getting to your rhythm sooner rather than later. I see him getting about around 8.
Okay.
The thing about Ronald Acuna Jr., once he gets going, that thing gonna be out of there. But what makes me nervous is, he's going up against Peter Alonso. You're going up against the back, the 2-time defending champ. Listen, I am rooting for Pete Alonso to do well, not because he got on the right color just for the wrong squad. He went to Florida, so I can still root. But in the back of my mind, it's Acuna all day. And I just hope, Kevin, let's just go. Pete, if you gotta go, move to the side for the young phenom known as Ronald Acuna. Ronald, put him out.
Here's the thing. I too would like Ronald Acuna to move on to round 2. Here's the thing that I'm going to stand on when it comes to this, because this is a specialty event, right, Ben?
Yes.
Pete Alonso weighs like 260 pounds. He's not that big. He's like 2.
Ain't his name Polar Bear?
Yeah, he's on Team Thick.
Short and thick.
Team Swole. Ronald Acuna weighs like 180. All I'm saying is it's not a boxing match, but the more you do, the more you got to rely on that muscle, that to get you when you get tired. I'm going to say Acuna. I'm going to go under what you said. I'm going to say 5. I feel like that's disrespectful, but Pete Alonso, I think, could do like 12 without batting an eye in the first round. It's going to be a tough uphill battle for Acuna. People forget, I think Matt Olson was in it. He's got a nice swing. Matt Olson was in it, last year? I think he only hit like 3. Freddie Freeman was in it. I think he hit like 2.
Freddie Freeman, sit your behind down. Freddie Freeman and Matt Olson. Y'all look. No, I will say, Kevin, this thing.
Acuna's a home run hitter, but I think when you see it in the game, I've been playing in the field. I'm back up to bat. I got 1 of 3 swings to try to send this thing yard. Is Acuna's body built to yak like 9 in a row out of the ballpark? Without
his body, no. Like the only person who Ronald Acuna is bigger than, he said, "What's up?" It's Ozzy and maybe like Altuve. That's about it. It ain't gonna be too many people.
Small, but I'm just saying when you look at the guys who do home run derby, like I think he'll do it at some point, like Austin Riley.
Yeah, big, thick.
Pete Alonso, Juan Soto this year. Albert Pujols is in it. These are dudes
big.
They don't skip leg day and they don't skip meals. You know what I'm saying?
Listen. When they tell the nutritionists, what do you want? I want carbs. That's what I want.
You can at me. I don't care. But I want him to win.
Right. Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, big dude. Big. I'm saying home run derby guys look like football players with a baseball uniform on out there hacking at that thing. That's what they look like. Big dudes.
So I feel like he's at a disadvantage from that standpoint. I still think he's going to get his, but it's not going to be enough to beat Pete Alonso. I'm going to say he gets 5 in the first round, and that's not enough, which I think is an okay showing. Maybe if he goes 12 or 10. The problem is, I think Pete Alonso, as you said, he can get in that groove where it's like 9 or 10 swings and he's just got more in the tank. Where if Acuna is going to do that, I feel like you're going to have to expend a lot of energy on like home runs 8, 9, 10, 11 to really get him out there. That's just, again, maybe I'm selling Acuna short, but I feel like there's a little difference in, hey, first swing of the game, versus I got to do this for a minute and a half straight. Just bomb. even Pete Alonso, those guys, when you see them when they're done, they're like, "Whew, man, that was tough." I'm wondering if he's got the size, he's got the swing to do it. Does he got the oomph to hit like 10 or 12 out there in a minute and a half? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if anybody can to defy the odds, it is Aaron LaCourse.
I'm gonna write Ben down for 8, and Kevin is going with 5. We'll compare notes on Tuesday on the show and see how wrong or right we were at the end of the day. How about that? All right, Ben, moving along. Take 2. Tiger Woods did not make the cut this weekend. I know he made an emphatic statement. I'm not retiring. Do you expect Tiger Woods to play in another major? And if so, when?
I do expect him to play in another major, Kevin, and I think it's the one in Augusta. I think that for a guy like Tiger Woods, it's like you saying, it's like, look, Tiger has realized this, dude. I don't got that pep in my step no more. Like, I'm not making the cut at St. Andrews. Like, I'm not making the cut at St. Andrews. I mean, I'm telling my driver, don't even turn the call. I'll be back.
Now that's disrespectful.
And Kevin, the thing is, right? I just think that when you think about a guy like Tiger, if it's the Masters, right, and he loses, but he makes the cut, he can walk away. Okay, I made the cut, boom. But not making the cut, nah. I think the ego in him and the competitor in him is not going to let it be St. Andrews. Now, it's not going to be that because our one Christian O'Care told us, hey, man, we asked him last time he was in the Masters, can he win it? He like, yeah, he won it. I don't think he got to win the major that he's in either. I just think he has to be competitive. Like, did I make it to Sunday? Because bowing out Thursday for no. So I do think, and Kevin, once he's done that, which, putting on my, psychiatrist glasses and hat, I think that because no. It's really no point now. Like, let me say, he don't got to do anything else. But I think for his sake, he wants to have that Kobe 60-point night. Like, what that is to him?
How hard is that to get in golf? Like, at least with Kobe, you could say, I don't care if we win, just keep getting me the ball, and we'll make it happen. I think, again, to me, that would be kind of the perfect game because Tiger, as you're seeing as he gets older, a lot of people said, hey, he's out there grinding and doing this and that. It's like he respects the traditions of golf. You saw it this week with St. Andrews, birthplace of golf. I think, as you said, if it's going to be one to hang it up at, and he talked about how he really soaked it in 18, I do think it would be like, all right, if I ever decide I'm just not going to do it, I'm going to give it one more pop at Augusta and let that be it. I think that would be a way for him to do. I don't know.
Because that's the one. That's the one, Kevin. To me, that's the one turn. That's the one major that everybody watch. That's whether you watch golf or not. That's not based on if you're a golf fan or not. But like I said, Kevin, it's like this. Okay, they say, all right, Kevin, you got one baseball stadium to go to. You only get one more. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, being a Braves fan, you go, well, dude, which one? Listen. You're gonna throw out the first pitch, okay? You're gonna have to bet. You're gonna be up in the booth. Like, that would be hard to pick because that's not based on fandom. At that point, that's, dude, I only get one. Yeah. Oh my! And that's kind of what Tiger is saying, bruh. Hey man, and his trainers are saying, look, bruh, you ain't got but one more in you.
I don't think he's got. I mean, I think if he said he's not retiring, but I mean, for Tiger Woods, to me, I feel like whatever it's going to be, the last tournament he plays in is going to be a major. Like, he's not going to go to the Trans-Mutual Open and be like, that was fun, fellas. I'm out. Like, I just don't feel like that's going to happen. Right? I feel like he's going to go at a major and it's going to be like, you know what? It's time. And I'm at peace. And he seems like a guy that's coming to peace with it, with kind of how he's talked about the Open Championship this week and some of the things and how he dealt with it moving forward. All right, moving ahead, Ben, take 3. If I can read my own writing here on the paper. All right, here we go. Trade deadline coming up end of the month, which is also in 2 weeks. So a little bit more than 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks for Sunday. Is there, or what move would you like to see Alex Anthopoulos pull off, if any, before the trade deadline?
Kevin, I mean, sure up that left field. I mean, because we I mean, if you can get you a solid, left fielder. I think it'd be great. And I'm all if you can add a bullpen piece, because the great thing about this team is, I mean, you don't have a lot of holes to fill. Ozzie is going to be back sooner rather than later. You got Robinson Cano right there. I just think that for me, you can always add a bullpen piece, and you can always, because Will Smith he do scare me sometimes when they run his behind out there. And I think left field, the great Michael Harris has done so much because he's shored up. I mean, that's center field. I mean, him doing what he's doing in center field and what he's providing at the plate. I just think that Ozzie's coming back. You give me a left fielder. You add a solid bullpen piece. But this is the thing, Kevin, this was scary though about that. If you watch baseball, you won't want to. Do you want somebody? A prospect for the Braves to do that, or is there a tradable piece that you can? Because that's the thing. I'm not talking about a core piece. I'm talking about a tradable piece right now on this team that you can go get. Because I do believe if you are any other 29 teams, hey man, I want one of your guys. Like, I see what you guys are doing, and sometimes my farm system is your farm system, Bray. I will take one of your guys if you are willing to deal him.
Well, if I'm get my choice, I'm trading Marcell Ozuna, and I say this for a number of reasons. One, I think he's an expendable piece given the lineup you have. If he goes, you have other guys who can fill that DH role. I know Adam Duvall hasn't had a great year at the plate. He can fill that role. We've seen Contreras fill that role. I think you have guys on that team that can step in when he's not catching. Travis d'Arnaud can fill that role. We've seen guys be able to do that. And I think you can go out and, as you said, shore up left field and or DH. And I think the best way to do that would be Marcell Ozuna. Hey, do you want to bet with some pop? A guy that can DH? Here you go. And we're looking for short-term guy. And by short-term, I mean like maybe a guy who's got 1 year left on his deal. He's in the final year of his contract, and he's going to give us A-plus ball the last 2 months because he's looking to get paid at the end of this thing. I mean, kind of i.e. what happened with Jock Peterson and some of those guys. Like, hey, I'm looking to get paid at the end of this thing.
Marcell can get you a nice prospect. I mean, he can. I mean, contract is one thing, but we'll see.
I think we'll see. To me, he's the guy that plays the most that I would be most willing to part with, if that makes sense. Like, he's not a bench guy. He DHs. He plays almost every day. I'd be most willing to part with that to get something in return, because I feel like at DH, I can pretty much find anybody that can come in and give me some production day in, even if that's a rotating spot. Hey, you have the DH today. I feel like I can find somebody to put it in there that'll make it worth my while. So to me, I would like to see him try to move Marcell Ozuna. Now, this is fandom. Just because you want to move somebody doesn't mean you can, but I would like to see him at least try to maybe float him out there and see what you could get coming back in return. That's Take 3. We do it every single day here at this time, Ben. Always fun throwing that around. What is going to be fun in a couple of weeks is watching the Falcons throw it around when training camp starts. I have a question for Ben, because I thought about this earlier today. I'm interested to get your thoughts when it comes to the Atlanta Falcons and how true this could be and maybe how scary it is. What am I talking about? We'll get to that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It is 3 and Out on this Friday. I'm Kevin Thomas. He's Ben Troop. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We are also streaming live at ESPNCoastal.com, and you can watch us there on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So you can listen to us on the radio network, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as well, Ben Troop, as we roll along 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today, Flowery Branch will be hopping with the sound of the Atlanta Falcons back at training camp. I was going to start by asking you what the big questions were, but I'll get to that in a minute. Because something piqued my interest earlier today. I'm not going to lie. I was perusing around and saw ESPN had they're running through the gamut of who's the top 5 at this position or whatever. I think today it was offensive tackles. And it got me thinking, Ben, who do the Falcons have that could even be considered top 5 at their respective positions on the squad right now? Do they have a top 5 player anywhere on the field? And by that, I mean at their position, top 5 in the league.
Yes.
Do they have one of those anywhere?
They have 2 of them, Kevin. And this how mighty the fall, or how they say, how the mighty have fallen. Look, number 1 is Kyle Pitts. I think he's a top 5 tight end right now. Right? That goes without saying, Kevin. He is. I think he is.
But I say that after rookie, he had 1 touchdown. All right. Give me your top tight end, because we say this all the time. When you say top 5,
top tight ends: Travis Kelce.
Okay. Keep going.
George Kittle. Darren Waller.
All right. You're at 3 already.
Mark Andrews. Kyle Pitts.
Locked in on that?
Yeah. I don't mind saying that. I don't mind. Because this is the thing, Kevin. Because this is what you don't realize. Right? And I love the tight end position. I don't know most of them. It's a whole bunch of old Shaq Hendersons running around at the tight end position in the NFL right now. I mean, you got Gesicki, you got Goddard, so you got a bunch of guys that can be in that 5th position. Make them Schultz up there with the Cowboys. So you got some really, really good tight ends. Irv Smith Jr., Albert OK. You got some good guys. Noah Fant, TJ Hockenson. But for my money, I think Kyle Pitts is the top 5. Now, all right, Kevin, this one really gets sad. You know where else we top 5? Younghoe Koo. That's it. Like, and this is nothing against Younghoe Koo.
Is AJ Terrell close at corner?
Yeah. Yes. You look at Kevin pulling the rabbit out of the hat. Yes, AJ Terrell is a top 5. So AJ Terrell.
So he's 5.
So AJ, I'll give him top. I'll give him top 5. Yes, I'll give him top 5. Yes, AJ Terrell, Younghoe Koo, and obviously Kyle Pitts. You know what the problem with that is? Ain't a running back in sight. Ain't a receiver in sight. No O lineman in sight. No D. Oh my God, no D lineman in sight. Now
is Grady Jarrett top 10?
Yeah, Grady Jarrett is top 10.
Okay,
but Kevin, this is the difference.
No linebacker in sight.
Kevin, this is the difference in the top 5 interior D linemen. If the Falcons are in the Super Bowl last year against Cincinnati, can Grady Jarrett make those last 2 plays that Aaron?
Well, that's not fair. I mean, I don't think.
No. You're missing what I'm saying. I'm not saying he can't make a play. Can he make the play during that sequence? That's all I'm saying.
I mean, there may be one defensive tackle in the league who can make that play, and he made it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I'm just saying there's one D tackle in the league that can make those plays.
No. But Kevin, but this is what I'm saying, though. This is what I'm saying. When it comes to top 5 guys, right? Right? Like AJ Terrell you always talk about the last play of the Super Bowl. The reason why Aaron Donald, thank God he got there, because Jalen Ramsey has gotten toasted on the outside by one Jamar Chase. That's going to be a touchdown. What I'm saying is top 5 means they're going to come. Listen, they're going to come to me when they ain't got nobody else. That's how it looked like last year with Kyle Pitts. They ain't have much. They went to him. Now, they eliminated him in the red zone. Younghoe Koo. Do you expect him to not make the kick? I expect him to make it, even if dire circumstances. Top 5 means I'm a top 5 player on the planet, not just in the league. I'm one of the top 5 cornerbacks, top 5 tight ends, top 5. So the thing about Atlanta is they lack depth at every position. If you rank the receivers in the league, like seriously, if you just rank the receivers, is Alden Tate gonna come up? No. Is Cordell Patterson? No.
I mean,
no. And Kevin, that's the thing. Yeah. Here it is. Where would you even rank in your division?
No, not even that. I mean, this is honest. I mean, Ben, this is honest to God. Given that you would just do the Falcons have a top 30 receiver? That's assuming that each team has got one guy that's pretty good, right? I mean, do they even have a top 30 receiver in the National Football League right now? I'm not saying they don't have guys that could be good, but as it sits right now, they don't even have a top 30.
And Kevin, once again,
when I was sitting back, I'm like, my God, you were talking about top fives, and I'm going, they may not have two top 5 players in the whole team.
Kevin, Terry Fontenot, he's out sick for a week. They call Kevin Thomas to run the team. Right? Kevin is up there. Kevin, you walk in real optimistic. All right, yeah, man. And you close the door and go, what is this?
I'd probably be saying what Terry Fontenot says behind closed doors.
Oh yeah, Terry. Listen. Mrs. Fontenot. Oh, she really knows how he feels about the team.
Happiest day he's gonna have is when Super Bowl is over, and he goes, "All this money's coming off the books, and I got some money to spend. Finally, I can go out and make some moves here."
But I mean, this is the thing, Kevin. Robinson Cano is an older player, but he's been productive enough to say, okay, he's just a fill-in. When people go, Lorenzo, okay, man, we got Carter, we got Carter coming over from Lorenzo Carter coming over from the Giants. Somebody, the Georgia Bulldog? Yeah. Okay. We got Alden Tate coming over from Cincinnati. From Florida State? Yeah. We got Brian Edwards coming over from the Raiders. South Carolina? Yeah. Keep going. We got Tease Table. Okay, Florida. Okay, I like it. Okay, we got Casey. Okay, but this thing, Kevin, nobody made you go, wow, you see who the Falcons got? No off-season pick this year. And guess where they go? But they got Marcus Mariota. Please, man, let's not do this. Let's not do this, man. Because, Kevin, once again, talent is gonna listen. It's gonna run every sport. I don't care who you are. You need a collection of talent.
Sure.
Potentially, listen, if you're not a Pro Bowler, I need you to be a Pro Bowler type talent. Most guys in the league ain't making no Pro Bowls. They're just not doing it.
But Ben, my whole point of that to bring that up was when I started thinking about that, top 5 players at the position. If you're going to contend, you got to have probably at least a couple of those at these spots, i.e. hey, do I have a top 5 DN? Yes. Do I have a top 5 tackle on the left or right side? I do. Do I have a top 5 interior defensive lineman? I might. Do I have a top 5 defensive back? No, but one of my safeties probably is. Do I have a top 5 potential receiving target? Maybe. You need some. The Falcons may have 3 on their entire roster, and you're talking about one of those being special teams. You're talking about one of those, and again, where you're like, okay, great, AJ Terrell, corner, great. That's a position you need to have a top 5 player at. Outside of that, I mean, Kyle Pitts, top 5. I would say that's. I'm glad you feel that way, but I think that's a push considering he had one.
No. Make no mistake about it, Kevin. You said no. I think he's more like top 10 and top 5. No. That's not a criticism of his, because what Kyle Pitts is realizing real quick is, dude, you got to have impactful numbers. We talking about double-digit touchdowns or close to it, because if not. If that scoreboard ain't changing, it doesn't matter. People go, hey, man, what do you do?
I mean, I guess that's my point with Kyle Pitts, Ben, is can he be top 5 when he doesn't affect the scoreboard? All those other guys you mentioned ahead of him.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy about George Kittle? That's what they say about George Kittle. They'll say, look, as productive as he is, he doesn't score a lot. And at the end of the day, he scored more than one. I mean, I think the fullback. The fullback for the Ravens, who was a former D lineman, I think got more receiving touchdowns than Kyle Pitts. I mean, you don't got to like it, but Kevin, once again, when the Falcons play the Saints, right? Count them: Cameron Jordan, Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu, Jarvis Landry, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and the list goes on and on. You start saying former Pro Bowler, current Pro Bowler, All Pro. Who the Falcons got? AJ Terrell. They got Olave, they got Jarvis Landry, they got Alvin Kamara, and they got Michael Thomas. I mean, I'm sorry, AJ Terrell can only cover one of them. Cameron Hayward can cover the other one. Can Tease Tabor cover Jarvis Landry? All right, who gonna get Alvin Kamara? I'm telling you, it's gonna have to be some development going on in Flowery Branch this year because the talent, unless I'm just not seeing it. Because Kevin, like I said, it ain't but 32 teams. We ain't in the top 30. Now, offensive lineman Jake Matthews, I think he's top 10. I think he's solid, right? Problem is he's one of 5. That's the problem.
But again, you got to start somewhere with your talent. I was just saying, look, you have maybe one elite talent on defense, one elite talent on offense, and I would even say until he scores more, you could push Kyle Pitts out of the top 5.
Where does the group, like, think about it. That's why you start saying the Falcons, Kevin, we don't want to go through those. For those of you who weren't on the show that day, we went through those sack numbers, and whoa, boy, I'm trying to tell you. No, you start saying 1.5, half. I mean, the Falcons together don't have as many sacks as like a Bosa, not Bosa brothers. One Bosa got more sacks in the whole, and that's what you start saying. Bottom of the league in rushing the passer, bottom of the league in stopping the run. Well, if you took Tate, London, Pitts, Edwards, and Patterson, where would they rank? They're gonna be in the bottom 5 of receiving corps because they don't have a lot of experience. So once again, you're asking guys who haven't been headliners to be headliners. You're asking guys who haven't had to, take the workload. Now they got to be those workload, and they got to prove they can do it game in and game out. But with the quarterback being Marcus Mariota, Lord, listen to me. It's gonna be a long. It's gonna be a long year, Kevin. Like I said. No longer the days you got. There go Matty Ice. There go Michael Burner Turner. There go Tony Gonzalez. There go Julio Jones. There go Roddy White. That sounds like an offense that's gonna be hard to stop. You hear all those? Harry Douglas now. Harry Douglas works for the Falcons. Julio Jones, I don't even know if he still want to. It's Harry Douglas and Michael Burner Turner.
But Ben, it's again, you just illustrated something that to me it shows where the Falcons are. You need guys obviously to step up, but you just listed off a receiving corps that might have been the best in the league.
Yeah,
at the time they were there, and now you don't have a top 30 receiver. Like you may have had the best receiving corps in the league. Now you don't even have a guy sniffing the top 30 in the entire NFL. I mean, to me, who's stepping up? Who is the guy that's going to surprise you that takes a step forward and says, okay, maybe they got a little something to work with. We talked about this with Jacksonville, change of scenery guys that are getting a chance to be in new roles. Who's doing that for Atlanta and you think is going to step up? Because if you're going to sell us on, even if it's rebuild, you don't want to be last. Yeah. You don't want to be, hey, we were bottom 5 and running the football. We were like, who is stepping up that you see new opportunity is going to go out there and produce? That may be surprised that we are looking at right now.
I would be surprised if it's not Brian Edwards coming over from the Raiders. I think he's a guy that, he was a piece in the Raiders offense, kind of similar to a Christian Kirk going over from Arizona, to Jacksonville. They're asking him to show Drake London how to play the position. They're asking him to show Drake London how to get in and out of breaks, making sure, hey man, you got to be able to you're gonna be the first read, sometimes second read. So I think Brian Edwards and for the Falcons' money, they're gonna need Drake London to show some. You're gonna have to show some life because Kevin, think about this. When they show your highlights coming out of college in the draft, they kept showing 50-50 balls. I'm like, he wasn't even moving that fast. Who are these DBs? He was going. He don't got. Nothing against them, but. You still had James Williams. You still had Chris Olave and company, right? Garrett Wilson. He went first out of all the top 10, by the way. So listen, I do not knock Terry Fontenot. That's why I do radio. That's why he's a GM. I'm not knocking the scouting department. But Brian Edwards and Drake London gonna have to show up because if not, Kevin, it's gonna be a long year. Because if Kyle Pitts knows anything, they're not gonna let him beat them.
We've got more to come here on this Friday. Hit us up on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. Love to hear from you as well. 912-342-7184. Who's stepping up for those Atlanta Falcons? When you look at that roster, 912-342-7184. Love to hear from you. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. Again, 2 weeks from today, the Atlanta Falcons back at it. Ben, we talked a lot about where the individual talent is, but collectively, where are the questions biggest with this team? Obviously, they're not going to make the playoffs unless something, some outrageous coaching happens by Arthur Smith. But where do you feel the biggest questions are if you're Arthur Smith evaluating it right now as a team?
I mean, Kevin, it's got to be, what do you have, at the D-line position? Because I think what has happened is when you're talking about this Falcons team is, that has been a talking point for what? For as long as the Falcons have been in existence, you're trying to figure out how can we get, at least just a stable pass rush. Now, Kevin, okay. This is who the Falcons got. They got Taquan Graham, slat at defensive end,
right?
Eddie Goldman that came over from Chicago to go alongside Grady Jarrett, Lorenzo Carter, Deion Jones, Rashad Evans, Arnold Ebiketie, AJ Terrell. All right, this is the thing, right, Kevin? When I go to Troy Anderson, second round pick, he's not even second on the depth chart. He's third. You got Deion Jones 1. Right, you got Deion Jones 1. You got you got Mekhi Walker 2. Then you got Troy Anderson. This is the thing this is the thing what scares you. Marlon Davidson, right? Marlon Davidson should be starting. Marlon Davidson is number 2. You're gonna have to get because the thing about the offensive line. Now the offensive line. I mean, the thing about Justin Schaefer, we'll see what you're gonna get. Get him late coming out of Georgia. But Kevin, just like I know, let's not kid ourselves. You got a bunch of unproven guys at the receiver position. Brian Evans is coming over from the Raiders. Alden Tate is coming over from the Bengals. Cordell Patterson got re-signed. You got Kyle Pitts going into his second year. Drake London is a rookie. And Kevin, I went to the depth chart and I saw something again that disturbed me. When I'm looking at the running backs, they got Cordell Patterson starting to run it. That's going to bother me. That's going to really, really bother me if he starts out at running back, or maybe that just be to get him on the field because he is good at breaking tackles. I think you're going to have to get production as a group. Like the O-line is obviously their production is based on 5 guys working cohesively together. That's kind of how you're going to have to look at the defensive line position led by Lorenzo Carter. Lorenzo Carter going into year 5, signed a 1-year deal coming over from the Giants. Can he have a banner year? I think having a guy like Eddie Goldman next to Grady Jarrett helps, but if they could look, when I say just a stable pass rush, that means you can get off the field on third down. That means you're forcing the quarterback to get out of the pocket, forcing him out of his comfort zone, forcing him to make. I'm not saying you got to be a Pro Bowler. I'm saying that quarterback can't sit back there and pick you apart like it's 7-on-7.
Well, when you look at guys, because you talked about this number of guys when you say guys are fighting for their NFL life. When you see a guy like Lorenzo Carter, how do you gauge what to expect from him? Different team, different system, change of scenery. Should you expect level of play? I mean, when you see guys like that who've been kind of so-so throughout their career to this point, can you expect an uptick just by change of scenery? I mean, how do you, when you see guys like that, say, okay, it's a different spot, or is it still, look, until they kick it off for real, we don't know what's going to happen.
Kevin, for his sake and the Falcons' sake, they need him to go out there and play. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like his head is on fire. I mean, seriously, because Lorenzo Carter. This is what happens when I want you to people. I was a guy that signed a 2-year deal after my 4th year when I went to Tampa Bay. That means you still got potential. That means that you still got an opportunity to go out there and earn some big money. But as of right now, your potential and your talent level haven't met up yet. They haven't, and like one has been over here, the other one's been over there. I think with a guy like Lorenzo Carter, he's gonna have to be the guy, right? I mean, it's not gonna be him by himself, but you're gonna need him to go out there in this defense and be living in the backfield. Lorenzo, you're not here to make tackles on the run. You're not here to lead us in tackles. You're here to lead us in sacks. Quarterback hurries, quarterback pressures, tackles for loss. Because Lorenzo Carter is a guy to where, Kevin, like I said, that's the thing about the Falcons is the Falcons might have the worst tradition at defensive line in the NFL ever. And that's ever. I'm just saying because
I can't come up with a good argument otherwise, but I mean, really can't.
Well, Kevin, this is the thing, right? Jesse Tucker, one of the best players ever come through the Falcons, right? I ain't even know, we just figured out a month ago that Grady Jarrett is his kid. You know what I'm saying? it's almost like if we've been saying the same thing for decades when it comes to this team, you need a pass rusher. You need a pass rusher, right? John Abraham's got a son. Is he in college? Do we got to wait for John Abraham Jr. to come through? Because Kevin, like I said, if you can get a stable pass rush, that can boost like other guys. That can make it other guys game. Because Grady Jarrett is a solid D tackle. You add Eddie Goldman, a run stopping D tackle, a bigger guy. Marlon Davidson, come on, man. Like, you're going into year 3. You got to show something to get out. You can't make the club in the tub. You got to get off injury. You start talking about Ebigiti, the guy you got second round of Penn State. Troy Anderson's third on the depth chart. Rashad Evans, you got a shot to be good. But everybody got a shot to be good. It's the National Football League. Everybody got a shot to have a breakout season. It's the National Football League. The problem is, what have you done for me lately? And as of lately, it hasn't been much to go off of. Lorenzo Carter, he chose to come back to the ATL because he went to the University of Georgia. I mean, he's close to where he grew up as a young man, a young pup in college. But you're going to have to go out there and prove it, because if he doesn't prove it now, he got a chance to stay in the league, but you're going to be a journeyman. Going to be another 1-year deal, a 2-year deal. But I do think, Kevin, if that D-line can just, shock everybody, including themselves, by going out there and giving you a stable pass rush. And the reason why I say the D-line, because this offense is going to struggle until they find their way. Marcus Mariota, Alden Tate, Brian Edwards, Drake London, Cordell Patterson, Kyle Pitts. Until they find their niche, I'm going to need the D-line I'm going to need that defense led by the D-line to give them more opportunities. And as of right now, I'm optimistic, Kevin, because I'm always optimistic when it comes to the Falcons, and that is my problem right there. But at the end of the day, until proven otherwise, I think adding Goldman, adding Carter, Rashad Evans, Ebigiti, you got a shot you got some guys, because I say Lorenzo Carter, once again, Lorenzo Carter's job is to show Ebigiti how to get after the pass, consistently, just like Brian Edwards' job is to show Drake London how to get open consistently. That a part of your job as a older guy is to mentor younger guys. And if you ain't confident in your game, guess what? He will play and you won't. But if you are confident in your game, he will be out there playing with you. So for my money, I think for Arthur Blank's money, for Falcons, for Rise Up Nation, you're gonna need that D-line to play well, because if they do, you got a shot to stay in game. Doesn't mean you're gonna win them, but you got a better shot to look very, very presentable in some of these games. And who knows, Kevin? If the D-line can show out, you got a shot to win some games you probably shouldn't have won.
Very true. Again, I don't know how many games this Falcons team is going to win, but I feel like you're relying on a couple guys who are, as you said, in those second chance opportunities, Ben, that sometimes you see guys, oh man, that guy wasn't very good over it. So then he comes to a new team, new scheme, for whatever reason it fits, and you see a guy take a step forward. I wonder if, again, maybe we're spoiled by Alex Anthopoulos, who's made a living finding those guys who are like, yeah, he's all right. And then he comes to your team and plays, kind of next level. If Terry Fontenot can pull a few of those rabbits out of the hat, I think this Falcons team would be kind of interesting to watch as they progress forward, because you feel like they have some talent. But again, we're on like the fool me once, shame on me, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. We're up to like fool me like 6 times with the Falcons.
We get fooled every year. When Dante Fowler came over, another Florida game, I was like, okay. Problem is he came over from the Rams, and he was playing right beside Aaron Donald. What has been his best year in the NFL? That year.
Yeah.
Coincidence?
Hey, when I played next to the best to do it, I look real good.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if I played with LeBron long enough, I got a ring. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody that played with him got a ring. I just think that for this Falcons team, it's going to be by committee, hopefully led by Lorenzo Carter, because he's the oldest. Marlon Davidson, if you can get some, some quality snaps out of him, you know what you're going to get in Grady Jarrett. Is Deion Jones going to be there? But I think if you can get Ebigiti, you can get Lorenzo Carter, you can get Marlon Davidson to go along with Goldwyn and Grady. Grady, you got a shot, Kevin, because unfortunately, I'm going to always say a team got a shot until they don't. But when them live bullets, when it's live out there and in color, ain't going to be, perception is out the window. And if it's third down, Kevin, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and they can't get off the field, it's going to be a long year because it don't matter what the offense do if the defense can't stop nobody.
Everybody's going to be saying more of the same. Can't get off the field on third down. Offense can't stay on the field on third down. Been the Falcons' problem. Certainly could be their problem again here in 2022, just given what the roster kind of looks like at times. Hopefully it's not the case. We got more to come here. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you here, 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, leading you up to the Braves and the Nationals game 2 of that 4-game series. And then it is into the All-Star break, the All-Star Home Run Derby, All-Star game coming up on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Ronald Acuna going to be in the Home Run Derby. He drew Pete Alonso. We talked about that earlier in the show. That's tough. Tough assignment when you get the polar bear. Ben, you get a guy that's what he does, right? He's made to hit home runs. Like certain guys are built to like win the dunk contest. Certain guys are made to hit bombs. And Ronald Acuna's got Pete Alonso in the first round coming up on Monday. That's a tough matchup.
Pete Alonso really had a 30 for 30 because of how he came out of Florida and just started hitting bombs when he was with the Mets or whatever. But Kevin, you know what? Listen, we just can't. Braves just can't get rid of these pesky Mets this year, right? I mean, God, no, we just dealt with y'all in the series. Y'all tend to have games up, so it should be. And they did ask Ronald Acuna, "What's your strategy?" No strategy, just hit home runs. Like no strategy at all. Just hit home run, keep it simple. But But Kevin, is it the pressure of the situation or is it just the stamina?
I think that's really what it is. Like it's the home run derby. There should be no pressure, man. Like the only pressure should be on Pete Alonso to defend. Like if I'm Ronald Acuna, man, it's just I'm gonna give it everything I got. Do I run out of juice before I can hit? I mean, look, Pete Alonso is liable to go 18 or 15 in the first round. Like, he outweighs you by 40, 50 pounds. Can you hang in there stamina wise and blast that many to win? It's going to be interesting. We'll come back. Final hour of the show right around the corner. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. It's great to be here on this Friday. Kevin Thomas, Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. Final hour of the show as we count you down towards Braves and Washington Nationals, game 2 of the 4-game series coming up in just a little bit. Ian Anderson and Patrick Corbin, your pitching matchup coming up a little bit later tonight. Braves trying to draw within 2 games of the Mets. Good to have you along. You can catch us all across the radio network here on this Friday or on ESPNCoastal.com. Listen live there, the ESPN app, or go to our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages. And you can watch the show along with us each and every day. Ben, I saw something that kind of got me thinking about it the other day when people were talking about Arch Manning. And I've heard this all summer. Arch Manning commits to Texas. People show the highlights of him running away from a defensive lineman saying, what in the, low A ball highlight is this, where he's out there running in slow motion, making kids look silly. And I would say, go to high schools on Friday night. You'll see that almost every Friday night where there's elite talent. Anyways, but people saying, hey, if Arch Manning was Arch Smith, and he would just be a 3-star. And he wouldn't be the number 1 player. It's because he's a Manning, he's getting all the love. Well, I thought about that, and the MLB draft is coming up this weekend. MLB draft first round's coming up on Sunday night. There's a young man that's projected as a top 5 pick out of high school. Young man's name is Drew Jones. That sound familiar? Because his dad is Andrew Jones, who played what I consider Hall of Fame level center field.
He did.
And the Braves. Ben, if Drew Jones was Drew Smith, would he be the top 5 pick in the draft? Of course he would if he's got the talent. That stuff drives me nuts when we're talking about, oh, well, he's only number 1 because his last name's Manning. No, he's good. Like, he's good. Like, I hate that argument. It's like, oh, well, it's only because your dad. Drew Jones is projected by, I went and looked at a bunch of mock drafts. At least half of them have him going number 1. If he wasn't Andrew Jones' son, is he going number 1? Is he rated that higher? If you look at, I'm saying this objectively because I think the gap between the top baseball player and the guy at number 30 is pretty slim if we're, splitting hairs. But I mean, I hear those arguments and I'm like, yeah, genetics and last name plays a part in it. It always does.
Yeah.
Reason Ken Griffey Jr. was good at baseball. I mean, it's like, I hate those arguments.
Yeah, I hate it too, Kevin, because the whole thing about it is, like I told you before the show, I would be more surprised if Andrew Jones' son wasn't good at baseball. That's when I would be like, what? Like, he's not good? Because, and the thing is too, right? What do you think Drew Jones got outside of genetics? You don't think he got really, really good coaching? You don't think he did a little like I think sometimes, right? Like with the whole, Arch Manning thing. Arch Manning is coming from they are the royal family. Archie, Eli, Peyton, back to only brothers to ever go number 1 overall. And Arch kind of knows once he decided I'm gonna play football, he better be good at it. Like, who you think is under more pressure? Him choosing Texas or being a Manning? That's enough pressure by itself. And he just, what position he gonna play? Quarterback? Like, he's not gonna play anything else. Now, if he's the number 1 recruit in the country and he plays receiver, he plays tight end, he plays running back, okay, I get that part. But Kevin, once again, they're one player. Andrew Jones' son is gonna be a top pick. Okay, well, his daddy should be in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, Miguel Cabrera, listen, his kid and my kid both play soccer. No, his kid don't play baseball. His kid plays soccer, right? Now, if Miguel Cabrera Jr. is the number 1 player in soccer, I get that part, right? But here's the thing. People go, how you know which one is his kid? He's the biggest kid out. Look at him. He plays goal, a big old kid, right? But I think what happens is, too, don't negate the fact that they're really, really good players. They just happen to have famous uncles, dads. Like, come on now. Michael Jordan's sons both play basketball. Neither one of them got drafted. They went to UCF. No one said a word, right? It's when they do pan out, Kevin, because it's the thing. No bigger pressure than your dad or mom being a legend, Hall of Famer, and you following their footsteps. Like, that stuff is not easy to do.
Sure.
Most of the time, the son, Clay Matthews Jr. wasn't as good as his daddy was. He was a really, really good player coming out of USC and obviously went to the Super Bowl with Green Bay. And his other son played at Oregon, got drafted by Philly. Their dad is a Hall of Fame semifinalist, played for the Browns. Like, Jake Matthews, the son of Bruce Matthews, the cousin, of Clay Matthews, the nephew of Clay Matthews. This stuff is not easy, but when they pan out, it's only because he is Jones. And if that is the case,
I just hear that argument with Arch Manning, and I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying it's like the people who make these rankings, right, and evaluate talent. I don't think they just go, "Oh, he's a Manning, he's number one."
Yeah,
because legitimately, if you think he was a 3-star, what if he wasn't? Like, what if he wasn't a 5-star? Are all these scouting? I mean, because again, I am not a recruiting expert, Ben. I think that goes without saying. But if you take me to a high school field and say there's a 5-star out here, I will find him in about 2 minutes. Right? There he is.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like it doesn't take long. I think it's just people looking at it and say, you don't like Peyton, you don't like Eli. They kind of like they all kind of play that dirty role again.
No. But here it is, Kevin. No. What's a surefire sign of a 5-star quarterback? Who recruited him? Did Alabama want him? Yep. Did Georgia want him? Yep. He went to Texas. So y'all need to stop this. Like Georgia ain't listen, nothing against the 4 stars and the 3 stars. No, they want the 5-star. Think about this. This man was willing to go to Alabama wanted a Manning. Like Kevin, and people do this, right? Oh my God. All the Mannings went to Ole Miss, Tennessee. Don't you think another team in the SEC? I'm trying to get me one of them. Look at what look at what Eli and Archie did, when they was at Ole Miss. Look at what Peyton did. Peyton Manning has a room in Tennessee. I was there. I got to go speak there back in the day. And I tried to open up the door and it's locked. They don't even let you walk in there. What you think I'm going to do?
What is it? Just for him?
Hey, just for him. It's a Peyton Manning room, right?
Secret vault for Peyton Manning.
You can, it's like you can see in there, but you can't go in there. I'm like, well, it's not like, is Peyton here? Like, is he?
That makes it worse.
But Kevin, once again, though, if you got a famous Tiger Woods' son plays golf,
right?
What else was he gonna do?
Right. So I'm saying, but if he goes to Stanford or whatever and is ranked high, is anybody gonna say, oh, he's only ranked number 2 in the country because he's Tiger Woods' son? Well, no, maybe, but he's also really good. I'm just saying.
Yes, or Kevin, think about this. Think about the hundreds of thousands of players who we don't know who their daddies are, and they're good. I know his daddy.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen his daddy. Like, if he isn't good, I would be like, what? Look, and I don't know. Michael Jackson kids. If they can't sing or dance, I'm like, wait a minute now. Did it skip y'all? Because y'all daddy was the GOAT. You see what I'm saying?
The entire family.
And that's all I'm saying is it's almost like, if Beyonce kids and Jay-Z kids grow up and be, I don't know, famous music artists, yeah, they stuck with the family business, right? Goldie Hawn daughter is an actress. Like, what are we talking about? All of a sudden, Arch Manning, he trash. No, he is not.
Well, no, it's if his last name was, Johnson, he wouldn't be if he was Arch Johnson, he would be a 3-star.
Listen, if Arch Manning changed his name to Manning Arch, he still would have been a 5-star recruit because the dude getting the best coaching in the country and Alabama, the best colleges in the country wanted him.
Even if I would, see the fact that being a Manning helps him some, it wouldn't take him from a 3-star to a 5-star. It would take him maybe he should be the number 3 quarterback to the number 1. Okay,
Kevin.
The fact that Drew Jones' dad probably helps him out a little bit in evaluations. Like, we saw what his dad does, and he looks a lot like that. Okay, a little bit. It's not going to take you from 3rd round pick to the number 1 pick in the MLB draft. Like, it's just not going to do that.
Kevin, both of your sons play baseball. If they
want, their last name is not Jones, Chipper,
hold
or Andrew.
on. But it's the thing, right? But it's the thing. Just say they wanted. Just say they moved to center field, right? And they went to a camp. If Michael Harris says, "Oh, they legit," guess what? They're legit. Like, people get on my nerves with this. Oh, if his last name wasn't Manning, you know how many quarterbacks that came through high school that we didn't know who their daddies was? We need to stop trying to listen, stop trying to illegitimize people just because you don't just say you don't like the Mannings. Fine. But guess what? Peyton is in the Hall of Fame, one of the greatest we ever seen. Eli's gonna get in because he won 2 Super Bowls. He won the same number as his brother, and it's 18 miles per hour on campus at Ole Miss. Now Texas got a chance. If what if he wins the Heisman at Texas? He's getting a statue. Because last time I checked, Texas had zero Heisman.
No, Ben. He will only get the Heisman because his last name is Manning.
And here you go. They only give it to him because his uncle lost. Y'all need to get out of here with that nonsense.
That would be. I kind of hope that gets close to happening. So I do hear it's he's only going to win because he threw for 50 touchdowns and 4,000 yards, but it's only because
he had 50 touchdowns and he had 10 picks. But guess what? A lot of the competition was awful. Were they?
I saw that. I've seen it from a bunch of folks who are like, come on, man. It's like sons of famous athletes or sons, even when you get to a family where the whole, the Matthews you mentioned in them, they have the genetic, kind of code and advantage in that. And as you said, they also have access to some of the best coaching you're going to see.
Yes.
Hey, I'm Drew Jones. Dad, you're done playing baseball. You want to throw on the side? Yes, and I'll give you a few tips. It doesn't mean Drew Jones is going to be a Hall of Famer, but again, genetically you're there, and you have a guy that's given you the best of the best.
Hold on. What does CC Sabathia kid play at? Don't he play like?
I think he committed to go to Georgia Tech, so I think he's got Marquise Grissom has a kid that pitches at Georgia. So you have guys that play big league ball. Their sons are good. It shouldn't be a surprise.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, why would y'all want CC Sabathia kid? I don't know. Why you think? Are we serious right now? We need to this is the part, Kevin, that really gets on my nerves. He only got
recruited because his dad's CC Sabathia.
Yeah, at the end of the day, man, they got this dude named Andrew Jones, kid. His kid name is Drew. He probably stinks. And the Andrew Jones?
Yeah.
Well, you know who that is? And you don't? Well, then you shouldn't be in baseball. You shouldn't be in a position to make decisions.
Yeah. My favorite highlight of his was when they were playing a game this year, and the other team's fans were like, overrated. And the next pitch, it went 420 over the fence.
Listen. All I'm saying is, look, they say, hey man, that LeBron James kid is pretty good. You think? You think? What? He's not as tall as his daddy. And y'all, look, I'm telling y'all, people, at the end of the day, if Carl Lewis' grandson is running track, I'm putting my money on Carl Lewis' grandson because I think he's going to be pretty fast.
Yeah, sight unseen, probably all right. But no, if you said if they saw my kids out there, Ben, they'd probably go look at his dad. Oh, good Lord, they're not going to be able to move.
But then he go yard on him. And then hit him with that trot. Stir it up.
The trot from one of my kids, that's called sprinting.
Listen. At the end of the day, son,
we are not known for our.
Can you get me 3 outs?
We are not known for our speed.
That is listen. The reliever. Listen, if one of the Thomas sons is a reliever for the Braves, Kevin say my life is complete. I can't deal with this. I cannot deal coming out that. Kevin, what would that feel like? Wow.
Oh, look, I have nothing to do with that. That would all be. I'm serious. I've said that a bunch. It's if it works, if they were blessed to be that somewhere down the road, great. If not, that's fine too. I'm trying to be the guy that's have fun while you're doing it, son.
Of course, man. Of course. We never. Of course.
If he did, it would be
my son was at Peyton Manning's camp in Louisiana. I played against Peyton Manning for 4 years. Never took it. My son took a picture with him and took a picture with Anthony Richardson. I mean, my son met Anthony Richardson before I did. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to be one of those parents either. Look, regardless of what I did, I don't care about it like that. I want my children to have fun. Listen, to you parents saying, listen, if your kid is 10 years old and say he got a zip on him like Peyton Manning, I'm going to slap the hell out you. No, he do not. I don't want to hear that nonsense, man. Stop it. Because he's only good because he throw it like Peyton Manning. Archie is only good because his last name.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. I mean, you see kids at 10 years old. It's what you are. What you are at 10 is not what you are at 17.
No.
When when puberty and hormones kick
I
in.
mean, and for those who don't understand, when I was a freshman in high school, I was like 5'9.5", 5'10". When I got back to school my sophomore year, I was 6'3". So it was meant to be at a certain point. I mean, and my mama told me one or two things: either go play sports or get a job. I would be trying out tomorrow.
Practice starts at 12. We'll be there.
Right.
We got more to come. SEC Media Days next week are also leading you up to the Braves and the Nationals. Game 2 of 4 before we get to the All-Star break. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Friday. Kevin Thomas and Ben Troop, glad you're making us a part of your day. Braves and Nationals coming up in just a little bit. But Ben, SEC Media Days next week. Obviously, Saban and Kirby Smart going to be top of mind. But Who's doing more with less? I mean, those guys are getting the top recruiting classes. Jimbo Fisher getting a top recruiting class. And when I say doing more with less, I mean, obviously there ain't many in the SEC doing with less. I mean, they're all doing more with more than most people get. But in the SEC, who's a guy you think is doing a good bit of overachieving, given kind of traditionally what they have to work with, how they're recruiting against their peers, et cetera?
Eli Drinkwitz. I think when you think about a team like Missouri, Kevin, I mean, number one, they're nowhere near the SEC, nowhere near it. Number two, you really don't know what type of recruiting they're doing, because I think they're recruiting they got a recruiting like Big 10 country, Big 12 country, kind of, when you look at kind of like, I mean, they used to be in the Big 12, so and then they're kind of like a Big 10 country as far as like location. Another guy could be Coach Beamer in South Carolina, because the thing about it is you got to recruit against Clemson, and as of late, Clemson has been the best team in the state. So even though you're an SEC team, you're gonna be losing out. You ain't no Jadavion Clowney, ain't no DJ Swearinger, ain't no Connor Shaw's really coming through there as of late. Alshon Jeffries and Stephon Gilmore's. I mean, look at the type of players you used to get. All those guys was on the same team, by the way. But I do think a guy like Sam Pittman is always going to be the one, Kevin, that I think doesn't get enough credit. He's going to get the best players out of Arkansas. No matter what he does, his tenure started with a former Florida Gator in Felipe Franks. He's put together some really, really good teams. But the thing is, Kevin, you always going to be at a disadvantage, because even a good recruiting class in Arkansas still don't measure up to what LSU is doing, Auburn is doing, obviously Alabama is doing. Texas A&M. So for me, Eli Drinkwitz is going to be number one. I think Coach Beamer as well, and obviously Sam Pittman, just from his geographic location as well, because now what's going to hurt him? Texas and Oklahoma. With them coming to the SEC, him being closer to those guys, that's going to hurt him even more. But right now, I'm going to go with Eli Drinkwitz. I mean, I don't even know what their recruiting class be looking at or shaping up as in Missouri.
And he'll usually have Missouri fairly competitive. I think Shane Beamer's an interesting one. Been 1 year sample size, but I think he did a lot better than most people thought he was going to. And this year, I think they might be that kind of sleeper pick for some people. Not that they're going to be picked to win the East, but I think a lot of people would look at it and go, you got Spencer Rattler in there, but this is kind of a second chance for him after he lost the job at Oklahoma. You're in your second year of kind of the rebuild. You got South Carolina to a bowl game last year. You're still kind of in that fringe mix for a bowl game. Can you get to 7-8 wins with this schedule at South Carolina? If you can, that's a heck of a job, coach. I feel like Shane Beamer's a good candidate. Sam Pittman, certainly, I think, Ben, when you're talking about coaching him up, I mean, he takes over all SEC schedule, and people are going, I mean, this is inheriting a program that hadn't won an SEC game in 2 years. And you're going, go get him, Sam. This could be ouch. And they won, I think, 3 games in that all SEC year. And then he took a step forward again in year 2. So I feel like Sam Pittman is a guy that he is the guy that if you want to say he's busting his hump to get everything he can out of that Arkansas program, he probably been, for me, is I think Beamer's a close to. Sam Pittman, to me, is a guy that's going, look, you talk about recruiting rankings, he's probably not going to be up there with A&M, Georgia, and those guys. He won't be down at the bottom either, but he is squeezing every last ounce that he can get out of that Arkansas team right now and doing a heck of a job.
He is.
I think he's doing the most.
He is. Because that's what I'm saying, Kevin, is, because expectation was so low when Sam Pittman first got the job, obviously he didn't know it was going to be a COVID-stricken year, and he's going to have to play all SEC schedule with his first game out the gate being against who? His former boss, his former team in the Georgia Bulldogs. Shout out to Dan Lanning, who's going to get them Georgia Bulldogs the first game of the year, so he won't get a chance to escape it either. But yeah, Sam Pittman does an incredible job. Like you say, Kevin, they always they judge you according to the company that you're around. They judging him according to Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn, Alabama. I don't think that's fair, because if he is, quote, the bottom tier teams, because even bottom tier, I think he's done a better job than Coach Leach has done at Mississippi State, right? But it's always going to be because if Arkansas falls off a cliff, that's what everybody expected them to do from the jump. But because they haven't, like they're nowhere near no cliff. Arkansas has been incredible. So yeah, Sam Pittman, because of location, because of he's in the hardest division and conference in the country, and I don't think we give him enough credit for what he's been able to do since he's taken over. Because Kevin, I know we be talking about Jimbo Fisher and what happened this year. Depending on what he does as far as like at the hot seat, we'll see what happens with a guy like Sam Pittman, who's been getting it done from the jump.
Yeah, look, I think he's going to be an interesting guy to hear from next week at SEC Media Days too, because you're in an absolute tough division. I mean, you got Jimbo sucking up all the oxygen that Nick Saban doesn't suck up, right? I mean, he's like Nick Saban takes all the oxygen out of the room. Jimbo sucks up pretty much what's left, and then now Brian Kelly's over there going, let me just take what's left. And and Arkansas. Oh, by the way, Arkansas and Ole Miss and Mississippi State, y'all are still out there, to go too. So you kind of forget about him on some level, but he has done a tremendous job. I'm interested to hear what he has to say coming up there next week. Is certainly the SEC is going to be front and center. We saw the Big 12. Mike Gundy wasn't pulling any punches on Texas, Oklahoma, and leaving. He said, look, we're in a better spot now. We got 4 teams coming in. I think the Big 12 is attractive to people. There's a lot of people that think they might be the most attractive conference outside the Big 10 and the SEC right now, and saying, look, if Oklahoma and Texas are leaving, why are they in the meetings? Why are they in our planning meetings? They're not. They're out the door. They don't need to be here. And I think you're going to get different questions for SEC folks like, hey, you excited about them coming in? Any chance they're going to come in sooner? And at some point, maybe not this year, but Jimbo and Sam Pittman are going to get these. So Texas and Oklahoma coming in. How does that affect recruiting? Because now those schools who traditionally recruit pretty well can also say, we play in the SEC. We're going to play at a high level. They put dudes in the NFL like no other. We're going to play NFL talent every week. How does that affect their recruiting? So, again, I think you're going to see some of those questions along that line there at SEC Media Days next week for those teams that are going to be affected specifically by Texas and Oklahoma down the road.
Kevin, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think sometimes too, when people don't understand how big of a dynamic shift the 2 biggest brands in the country, definitely the 2 biggest brands coming from the Big 12 is going to reshape things when they get over here, because they're going to affect recruiting. Texas and Oklahoma can recruit. It's never ever been about the talent on the field. It's always been about the end result, especially when you start talking about that team coming out of Austin. But yes, Kevin, there's going to be a lot of questions to be answered at SEC Media Days. Greg Sankey, Brian Kelly, Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, Kirby Smart, Billy Napier. It's going to be star-studded, but it's going to be about the quarterbacks. It's going to be about, the 2 teams in the top 2 teams in the country in the East and the West and the SEC coming in wearing that bling. But it's going to be interesting to see. But yes, for those of you who don't think it's going to be a dynamic shift when Texas and Oklahoma come to the SEC, you are sadly mistaken.
I'm looking forward to it next week. We'll, of course, have full coverage for you. Our own Christian Gokel going to be there on site at SEC Media Days. We'll get some the very latest there from Atlanta next week as the college football world ascends. And it kind of feels that way at SEC Media. Ben, you and I, we've been to both. SEC and ACC Media Days. ACC Media Days, the spread might be a little better at the ACC, but there ain't nearly the amount of people there.
Oh, that's not.
That are at
keep the fans back up. You get your credential.
Yeah. It's so SEC Media Days. It's just something different. You don't see that at other places around college athletics like you do there, and it's going to be fun to follow that circus coming up next week. We got more to come on the flip side and getting you ready for the Braves and the Nationals, of course. Over this weekend, we finish up the mythical first half. We're already past the halfway point, but we finish up the first half, quote unquote, of the MLB season. Braves trying to finish on a high note. And then we come back on Monday. It will be All-Star break. And we'll be talking about Acuna trying to muscle up there against the polar bear and Pete Alonso. But we'll get to that. We'll get you ready for Braves and Washington Nationals when we come back. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. All-Star Week about to be upon us. Braves got a little business to take care of. Before we get to that point, they've got 3 more against the Washington Nationals. Last night, Braves get it done 5-4. Michael Harris, man. Ben, we talk about him every stinking day on this show. I'm not even mad about it either. But we talk about him every single day. And every day, the kid just continues to amaze. Again, I think he's hit more homers now than he has at any other minor league level of baseball. He hit a big monster shot last night. Made another tremendous defensive play where he hosed a guy at the plate to save a run. I mean, you're running out of things to say about what this guy's doing seemingly every single day at the ballpark.
Kevin, all he's doing is adding to his already, young legendary career. When you think about what he does when he first came up, obviously it's these catches that nobody can make but him. Getting Andrew Jones approval when he's at Truist, watching this young guy. Then it was okay. We speak to Gaurav Vidak. He tells us, look, watch this kid though. Watch him at the plate, and he's been showing what he can do at the plate. But last night, he showed you. I also got a cannon. I mean, when Darno say, look, I didn't think we had a shot at getting that guy. Like, there is no way. And then it was on a rope, Kevin. It's almost like Michael Harris is like, okay, he's going to try me, and I'm going to show him. Like, there aren't too many guys on the planet that can do what he did last night. Like, it was on a rope. Like, no bounce, no nothing. And I think, Kevin, too, when you talk about the Braves, when you talk about their farm system, when you talk about it's not necessarily having prospects, it's knowing when to call them up. I don't know if there is a right time, but Kevin, you've been watching a lot of baseball. Ronald Acuna is about as good as you can be as a baseball player. Michael Harris is about as good as you can be as a freaking center fielder, and he's only getting better, and he's the youngest player in the bigs doing what he's doing. I'm glad he's on my squad, man, because I'm just saying the young man is the truth.
Well, at some point, Ben, as you know, they're going to quit doing that. Like, at some point, you get that rep, and you go, man, he is hosing guys at the plate. At some point, they're going to quit running on you. We've seen that with Ronald Acuna. Balls get hit out there, and people say, we're going to try. Nope, we're going to hold up. You're going to quit testing the arm because with the amount of ground, and it's amazing to watch, like, Acuna react to it as well. I've seen balls that Michael Harris gets in the gap where it's amazing play, and you see Acuna kind of in the picture, and you know how fast Acuna is. And Acuna's even a little late getting to the baseball, and you're going, man, he covers so much ground and has such a strong arm. It's really unbelievable. And the fact that you could have him, I mean, he's on a rookie deal, obviously. He's not going to go to arbitration for several years. You got Ronald Acuna in year 2 of a 10-year deal. I mean, these dudes are going to be in that outfield for a while. And the fact that we get to sit back and watch this is absolutely incredible. Incredible.
It is.
The dynamic nature of both of those guys. I mean, you go back to when you had Andrew Jones. I mean, you had some guys out there in the outfield, but I mean, it was largely Andrew Jones and 2 guys that could catch a little bit. You have 2 guys that are really, really A-plus defensively with plus arms, and we get to watch this together for a while. And, I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, and again, you run out of things to say about Michael Harris, but this guy looks like an all-star in the making. And again, you talk about what's it going to take for Austin Riley to get in the all-star game. As you said, sometimes it's popularity contest, sometimes it's rep. You keep showing up on SportsCenter doing crazy stuff like that, and people are going to go, oh, that Michael Harris dude in Atlanta is really good. And he really is. And the fact we get to watch it every single night, he's becoming must-watch television. I mean, I thought Ronald Acuna was stop what you're doing and watch him bat, and he is. You got to stop what you're doing and watch this kid do everything, because you just never know. Again, he made a catch this year where he slapped the ball into his glove.
Yep.
He's tracked balls down in the gap that you're going, there's not a chance he gets there. Going into left center or right center, away from, the plate. You catch it, turn, and throw an absolute dart. I think they said they clocked it at like 95 miles an hour from center field. Hose a guy, save a run, you end up winning by a run. Unbelievable what this kid's doing. And the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. Again, is he going to hit the 40 bombs that Acuna will? I don't think so. But he is spraying the ball all over the yard and doing it every single night defensively. If you can do that, and do it for a long time. I mean, I'm glad he didn't come up saying, just give me Andrew Jones's number. We're going to be watching Michael Harris and letting him make his own history with his own number. But Ben, look, you could say it was Snit. I think when they had that team meeting and Snit kind of said, look, fellas, what are we doing? Arizona is whipping our behind. They're not a good baseball team. We got to turn around and do something. A lot of people point to that and say, well, then they went on that big winning streak. I think the team's attitude kind of changed when Michael Harris showed up. One, because he fixed a lot of problems for you.
Yep.
Center field became not a liability anymore. Dude can stick it a little bit, and he doesn't have to hit in a key spot in the order. He's batting last. Pretty much every night, he bats dead last. You know what we say? Hey, man, Ronald Acuna is batting right behind you. Just go out there and do your thing. If you get on base, we got a murderous stick right behind you in the lineup. Just go do your thing. And he's been producing. And you could make the case that once he got called up, the Braves have played like a different team because he fixed a lot of problems. You got a guy that can play great defense, and you got a bat at the bottom of the lineup that could do enough. Now, I know he's hitting over 300. So, yeah, he's doing more than enough. But you got a bat that could do enough, and when he gets on base, he's stealing bags, and he's become a second leadoff guy batting in front of Ronald Acuna. And you can't pitch around him because Ronald Acuna is standing behind him. So he has been such a magnificent pickup, Ben. I don't even know what to say anymore about this guy because, again, a lot of people thought he would be good. A lot of people thought, man, he needs another year in the minors. He needs some more time to develop. He's a league hitter yet. I mean, he is putting all that to bed and then some when it comes to what he's doing right now at the major league level.
Kevin, you can't put everybody in the same category. You know, all sizes do not fit all, and to every rule, there is an exception. And I think that Michael Harris Jr. is the exception to the rule. As you mentioned, I mean, was down in AA for a little bit and got called up, but he filled a need. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. I was always told you get called up when there is a need to be filled, and that's the position that you play. When Austin Riley first came up, they was like, okay, how they working into the lineup? No, he is the everyday third baseman. He has proven that. You talk about a guy, Daniel Swanson, number 1 overall pick. You talk about a guy, like a Michael Harris and like a Ronald Acuna. These guys get called, and Ian Anderson. When these guys come up, they produce. They don't even put you in good situations. Ian Anderson got called up first game, Yankees. Second game, you talk about the Red Sox already pitched, got the pitching in the playoffs with a COVID-stricken season. You saw what the key contribution he made last year, in the playoffs. Talk about a guy, Michael Harris. No, he is. You said it, Kevin. They're not sending him back down at all.
Yeah, no, he's not going. He's not going at all. You mentioned Ian Anderson there. He goes tonight. Maybe the All-Star break coming at a good time for him, coming off a month of June where he allowed 22 runs in 28 innings in the month of June. Did not pitch great, has pitched a little better in the month of July, but finish it up strong tonight against the Nats, and then you get 4 days to rest up and come back, and really more than that because he'll be, the third or fourth guy, so he'll get almost a full week of rest before he has to go out there and do it again. He goes against Patrick Corbin, who's 4-11, ERA up near 6. So the Braves, hopefully with a chance to throw on some more. Mets have got rained out tonight, so a win tonight. Braves are down to 2 back in the National League East. You're in a good shape heading into the All-Star break. We will see you on Monday. It's SEC Media Days. It's the All-Star break. So much to get to. You want to be right here with us. 3 and Out on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, ESPNCoastal.com. Braves and what's coming up next.